This is the Zach Ansberry Show.
So you ended up getting your doctorate in chemistry, and you managed to work your way up to become a professor, which is no mean feat in any field, really, in academia, let alone chemistry. So do you feel like the skills that you gained throughout your tenure in that industry, do you feel like that's translated or helped you in any way in your marketing career?
Oh, totally. I tell people I use my PhD every day. I think the thing about the PhD experience for me was, first of all, it's a degree in advanced problem solving. I mean, that's really what a PhD is, particularly in science. We had to build equipment that had never been built before. We did experiments that at the time would be considered heroic experiments. Very, very difficult to do. And as we were building a new piece of equipment, the only way we could discover the limits was to break it.
So you deliberately set out to break them?
Well, we didn't really deliberately set out, but we that's how you find out. You can only turn the dial up so far, and then you destroy the laser rod. So
that actually sounds kind of fun.
We broke a lot of stuff. I mean, the problem though is if you broke something, it was $4,000 to fix it, which was like equal to our annual salary at the time because it was the 1970s. So when we broke something that was $4,000, we thought, oh boy, we're in deep stuff with that. But our boss didn't really mind. He had a pretty good budget, and he knew what we had to do to accomplish things. And but eventually it was me and two other guys, and we all ended up getting our PhDs. By doing these really difficult experiments. But I think in addition to that, I think the other thing that I got out of this that was very important to me is when I joined the research group, my research advisor accepted me into the group, and he said to me, well, you really only have one job to do now. And he said, that's to become the world's expert at what you do. And I was like totally blown away by that comment. Like, how am I ever going to be the world's expert at anything? And, it's like I thought of all the things that I didn't know that I needed to learn. And, chemical theory, all the technical stuff, I had to learn how to blow glass and to make my own equipment and learn. Wow. I went in the machine shop and used the lathe and drill presses. I mean, it was like the stuff that we did. The skills that we developed along the way were just so diverse, and to be able to do that was just such a daunting challenge. But 5 years later, I was the world's expert. My first chapter of my thesis was a review article, and I think I've taken that approach to every job I've had. And Zach, you know me from when I ask you questions, I'm kind of a bulldog until I get the answers because I need to know how things work because I have to be expert at it and I have to be able to explain it to somebody else, and I can't do that if I don't understand it. So I really feel
to be fair, I kind of like it when you do ask me all of those questions because it really forces me to really cement my position and to fully understand it to you as well. So whenever I get emails from you asking to explain a concept or a formula or something, little beads of sweat start pooling on my forehead. I'm like, oh no, Bob's he's got me here. And then I'll sit down, I'll go through everything, double check, triple check, send it back to him. Because I know you're the sort of person who's going to go in depth and to, I really appreciate the conversations I have with you because I think it kind of makes me a better researcher as well. So
I think that's the idea. I mean, and what I like about it is that I've really enjoyed my time at the Institute. I don't think we really talked about it, but for the listeners, I was there for 10 weeks. Yeah. In between March and May of 2019, and the ability to have those kinds of conversations and ask challenging questions, and people don't take it as a personal attack is really nice. And sometimes in the business world, those conversations can be a little more difficult because people might perceive this as a challenge to their authority or their, or their position. where you can more easily have those open conversations. I'm not saying academics is without politics, because that's certainly not true, but
certainly not true.
Yeah. But still, I mean, when it comes down to discussing the science, and people understand that what you're really trying to do is get at the root of the question. And if people realize that they don't know it as well as they should, then that's like, oh, I think I need to now dive into this a little bit more too. And that's a good thing, because it advances knowledge. And that's the whole point of the academy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the single reason that these institutions exist. I think, just going on what you said, I think it might have been a quote from Einstein, something along the lines of, if you can't explain something simply, then you don't know it well enough.
Yeah, I agree. I had someone who once said that you should be able to explain this to your mother. And I used to say, well, that will be easy because my mom's a chemist. But
yeah, you have a loophole there.
Yeah, so I was able to go in a little more depth with my mom than most people were, but I think it's the same idea, right? It's to be able to explain and something simply. And when I was teaching chemistry, I used to gravitate towards that. As I would prepare a lesson or be looking to what I was going to teach that day, I used to think about, well, what was difficult about this for me when I was learning it? Because I was good at chemistry, but not everything was easy. I mean, I had an F or two on a test when I was struggling with concept until I nailed it. And so, I had my struggles. And so it doesn't mean that everyone else has those same problems with understanding, but I would always try to figure out what people didn't understand, rather than just give them a stock explanation, because you have to. Knowledge is built on a base of what you have, so you can't just sort of hang something from a skyhook and start people at a level where they don't have the underlying knowledge. So you have to sort of build up that underlying base of knowledge, and sometimes it takes a little time to teach somebody something, because you might have to take a step back.
Because they're all starting at different points.
They can actually get it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.